welcome back to Have You Met Her Yet? Today I have Kat, who is the founder of Future Female. Uh-oh, I lost a letter. Founder of Future Female, which is a woman's self-care magazine. So, Kat, thank you so much for joining me today. Um, would
Thank
you like to share a bit more about your story, what you do, and how you got to where you are today in your career?
Yeah, my background is in graphic design and photography. So I had graduated from the Georgia College back in, I don't even know when, maybe 2009. Oh, I feel old. But basically, I did everything that a graphic designer would do, try to be in an agency and do other things in that way. And I actually branded a restaurant that's still there at Yonge and Eglinton, which is pretty cool. So that was my life. And then I realized after going through bouts of depression and anxiety and just kind of like really getting down on myself in terms of the industry, I just wanted to focus on my mental health. So I took kind of like time off while my husband worked, and we were trying to conceive as well. So through that, I do have PCOS. I was diagnosed at 16, and that's
Able
polycystic
to
ovarian.
expand on what that is?
Yeah, so it's called polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it's a metabolic syndrome, which a lot of women have, and a lot of them don't even know that they're that they have that. They just think that they have irregular periods, or they have painful periods, and it ends up being like it's kind of with endometriosis in that way. So I kind of knew that I would have trouble conceiving, but it didn't really hit me until we actually started, and it nothing was happening. And
Right.
then a year would go by, 2 years would go by, 3 years would go by, and I just was literally so obsessed with it. And what I found was in Canada and in Toronto, specifically, there wasn't really like a community for me to feel like I wasn't alone.
Yep.
You know, Instagram and social media in general was really great, but in terms of like a local community, there wasn't anything. So I really wanted to seek that out, and I kind of did a little bit of that. Kind of getting something together, kind of like a Facebook group. But then I realized that, you know, I, I'm not defined by my PCOS. I'm not only going through infertility, I'm going through depression, I'm going through anxiety, I'm going through trauma. There's like so much that I'm going through. And I realized that, I wanted to see a magazine, a local magazine where we could, where there was showcasing so many other women. Like basically, I was trying to find a community. And
Yeah.
email started. Um, and it's been a tough road in terms of starting my own business, being my own boss, just all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's so rewarding at the same time because it really becomes so much more than I ever expected in terms of community and just women reaching out and really feeling like they're being heard, and it's just so amazing. So that's how
Oh,
everything.
that's so fabulous. And so, how many years ago did you create the magazine?
So the idea happened around 2017, and it was when I reached out to writers. And actually, my managing editor, who was a writer first, she took great initiative, and I just realized that she was great to kind of delegate to the other writers. So that's how it started. And 6 issues. It'll be our sixth issue in March, so it's amazing.
Amazing. Very, very cool. I've definitely seen the growth of when you started. I think it's been a year now that I've been a contributing writer, and it's really, really cool to see what you've created and to see a magazine come out of Toronto, my home area. And I think it's really cool that you have many different contributors that have different voices and different opinions to share, and sharing things on self-care is really important. So, do you want to share a bit more about why you chose self-care to be sort of the primary topic in that magazine. I think you touched a little bit on it of your own personal struggles, but maybe if you can share a bit more about that.
It's funny because, yeah, my focus was basically self-care, and it still is, but a lot of people have kind of said that to them it seemed like a lot of just like showcasing women and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Which I find is such a good focal point, because I find, not that like women who are in the 9 to 5 and stuff don't have a self-care routine, but I find that women who are especially starting their own businesses, it's, you get so wrapped up, like how I am right now, this
Oh,
summer,
yeah.
I'm not taking care of myself.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you get into that whirlwind of like, oh my God, I have to get everything done. And it's just kind of coming back to, to just yourself. And I think it's great to have a community of women who, we're not trying to strive for perfection. And I say
Yeah.
that a lot, where it's like, it's okay that you didn't take a shower today. It's okay that,
Exactly.
yeah, it's just really being gentle with yourself. And me as a founder, for before, I really was trying to, be that person that not like knew everything, but I felt like as a founder, it's like I had that expectation of myself that I didn't, that I
Sure.
screw up or have any of what I have, in that way. And
Yeah,
I really know it's, I'm just as much in this than everyone else.
absolutely. And I completely agree with you when you say that you've had to make that realization of sharing your story and being real. And I think that those are the moments when people are actually going to connect with you and know that you're real. They're going to hear sort of the struggles that you're going through, and it's going to be a time for them to say, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. Thank God someone else is sharing this too. I thought I was the only person. And I think it's an even greater power that you are the founder sharing those things, because sometimes when we have the titles of founder, CEO, starting something, we're at this plateau of perfection, as you mentioned. And it's so important to share that we struggle. It's hard. We're going through all of these things. And everything that you do share on your platform, I think, just continues to make you more relatable to the audience that you're trying to attract with Future Female.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, what would you say your self-care routine looks like, or what would the top three things be that you do for personal self-care?
Oh my gosh. I felt it changed once I became a mom, uh, because before it wasn't really um, existing. I was like so much more focused on everyone else, and I think that happens a lot. Um, but I find my self-care routine is mostly just checking in with myself. Um, I think with my anxiety, I was so caught up in things that I couldn't control, feelings that I couldn't control about certain things, just like the stresses of life. And I think
Yeah.
I've come to a good balance of just stopping and being like, okay, like it's okay that I don't have this figured out. Like I'm gonna let that go and then just do something else. So I think in that way, like that's a lot of self-care for myself. I think it's really helped me a lot. Another one, I started going to therapy. Uh, and I think I started around like September.
Yeah.
Uh, and I just realized there was an instance where I grew up, when I was little, I grew up with, I don't know if this is so deep. Is it so?
Share it, girl. This is the platform. Share it.
But I mean, okay, so I'm Filipino. I'm in this, very big culture where everything is taboo, and everything was like, I mean, they came from such a rough background
Yeah.
that if it's like a generational thing where if I showed anything as a child, like being, sad or crying, I was immediately shut down, not in a way that but because of that, they couldn't do it when they were children,
Right.
had to
Right.
take it out. And I think in that way, just with who I am, I would get angry and I would get into those bursts. And I found that like in August, especially being hormonal with like birth and all that stuff.
Uh,
Yeah, like I'm like, I didn't get into a fit of rage. That's not but that like I I saw myself as like, whoa, this is obviously things that are much deeper than just getting pissed at something.
yeah.
And that happened with my parents actually. And then I just realized and I stepped back and I was like, you know what, I don't want to do that to my daughter, and I don't want her to think that having emotions is not good.
Right, right.
Still kind of holding on to that. So I decided to go to therapy, and it's helped so much.
That's incredible.
Yeah, because I mean it's an outside source of someone telling you that it's okay
Yep.
that you are going through what you're going through, and it's okay that you've had trauma in your past and whatnot. And yeah, so I mean that's been the biggest thing of just going weekly and just hashing it out and stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're taking those steps to essentially break the cycle with your daughter, right? And I think it's really important for you to realize where that all stemmed from and how you can change that so your daughter doesn't feel that way in the future as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And the third, not so deep, is that because of my husband's benefits, I'm able to take a massage every. No, I don't do that
Amazing.
often. I haven't
Yeah,
like
I'm
like
a
last.
huge believer in massages. So I think it's such an incredible way to just treat yourself, get the tension out. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I find that I just do it when I know I, when I need it. It's not very much of a regular thing, but it's kind of like, okay, I know that this month is going to be so crazy, so I just want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so stuff like that.
Amazing, amazing. Treat yourself, treat yourself. So you just gave birth to your first daughter.
Yes.
What has it been like to be a first-time mom and juggle being a business owner? So can you share, I mean, have you tried to take any mat leave? Are you working as much as you thought? Are you working too much? Like, can you share a bit more about what that's looked like?
Yeah. Yeah. So crazy. Okay, so I will tell you that when I was pregnant, I was put on bed rest at 28 weeks.
Wow.
And we were doing the issue that's actually our first print issue. And I was like, okay, I'm on bed rest. I guess my whole calendar of me doing photo shoots is done. So yeah, how am I gonna do this? I promised people that I would print it, so I was literally in a situation where I really had to let go of trying to do everything. I
Yeah.
mean, understandably that it was like when I reached out and said, "I'm so sorry, guys, I can't do this," or whatnot, trying to, starting to say no to things. A lot of people are really, really understanding, and that's the thing that I feel like I'm not used to.
Yeah.
It's that certain perfection, or it's that
Yeah.
certain like, I don't want to let people down. And then I realized that, you know what, people are so kind and people are so understanding. So when that happened, I gave birth, and then literally like a couple of weeks later I started um distributing the magazine.
Yeah, honestly, that was so impressive. I mean, I kind of knew some behind the scenes as well going forward with that. So it was so crazy to see that all of this was happening, but incredible for you to take that on. And I mean, you got your goal of creating the first print issue, which was so exciting. I love seeing it and giving it to friends and family, which was really cool. So yeah, that's a huge accomplishment, even though you went through a bit of unknown of what was going to happen with that.
Yeah, and I mean, the only reason why I was able to do is because we had a lot of help. Like
Yeah.
as much as what everyone says, it takes a village. So I kind of took advantage of that because integrity is a big part of what I've learned, and I couldn't not do this issue,
Yeah.
despite whatever the circumstances were. That I was a new mom and I had a newborn. It was like, just checking off that, okay, she's fed, she's sleeping, she's happy, she's
Yeah.
good, and she's surrounded by love and family. I can take aside for the magazine, and it's worked quite well. But it's funny though, because I remember when I was alone And I mean, my parents would go out and do whatever they wanted. And my husband was working. I was alone with her. And I thought to myself that I could do it. Like, I was literally on the computer and like this. And then, like, I literally, like, it took me like 3 hours to do like one thing. And I'm like, yeah, okay. and, and that was the first experience because I really thought in my head, like, no, it's okay. It's fine. But yeah, I realized, you know what? When I'm with her, I'm with her. And when I'm at work and I'm doing stuff for the magazine, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's been how I've actually been doing it so far.
Yeah, that's great. So what would you say your daily routine looks like at the moment?
Oh, well, it's been a really good one because my husband is in heavy equipment, which means he's seasonal. So every year he gets off work before Christmas and
Oh,
then off until um, beginning of May.
oh,
So
wow.
waiting for it. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness, that
I'm
is
coming and I'm like, oh my God,
cool.
I gotta go because my parents moved out and it's his
Yeah.
business now. And so yeah, so I'm really happy that he's actually watching her right now, which is great.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fabulous. That's so
yeah.
nice that you have that. That's
And
great.
he's super supportive and super like knows what my dreams are all about and what I want to do. So yeah, so usually what happens is she's a really good sleeper, so she's able to sleep until 9
Yeah.
and which is amazing. So, we wake up, we do breakfast, and then sometimes I head out to the coffee shop for a couple of hours until her second nap, and then I come home, and then we just hang out as a family.
Oh, that's great.
Really how it's been for the past couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So what would you say is something you'd want to share with other women who are thinking of having kids and juggling their career?
Hmm. Oh man, it's funny because like she's almost 8 months, and I'm like, oh, real.
Yeah.
The number one thing is, I think a lot of people say, "Oh, you're gonna get a lot of unsolicited advice,"
Yeah.
and I've heard that so much, and I'm like, yeah, okay, cool,
Yeah.
yeah, I know that. Like, I'm strong enough just to like let that go. But I think the number one thing is, um, just knowing yourself and that you're gonna do okay, and that you're doing your best, and you know what's best for your child.
Yeah.
And everyone else who has those kind of opinions, try not to take it personally. I know it's like the easier said than done.
Of
But
course.
when you come from a place of when people start putting their own, can I swear, shit on you,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like, this obviously has nothing to do with me,
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and also, it's from a place of love sometimes, which I get. But that
Yeah.
was one that I was like, whoa, because I knew I would get like stranger comments or whatnot. But when it started coming from people who I cared about, and I was like, and
That's hard.
the usual me who had depression years ago, I think it would have really knocked me up and would
Yeah.
have made me feel terrible about myself. But I realized that, what, like, there isn't anything that I'm doing wrong,
Yeah.
But I think
Absolutely.
really being grounded in yourself that there's going to be a lot of people saying stuff, but, it's how you react to it.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really great advice. I think the unsolicited advice is just something that's going to happen, like you said. And it is so good to spread that message of knowing that you have that mother's intuition of knowing what's right and what's wrong. And if you don't believe in what someone is preaching at you, I mean, just kind of lead with your heart. So I think that's incredible advice. Thank you for sharing that. Um, I guess this you might have already answered this, but I was going to say, what do you wish someone told you about becoming a mom that you didn't know before?
Hmm. Or, well, it's funny because it's like, it's not even like that. I feel like a lot of people have been preparing this, especially because we've gone through infertility for the past couple of years. So I feel like we've been really like talking about this forever. But it's
Yeah,
how people tell you all this advice and you're like, okay, yeah, like really taking it in. But
yeah,
then it's a new experience when you experience it. Because
yeah.
everyone's like, oh, you're not going to have time for anything. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. No, I will. Yeah, I will. And I'm like, no, really, you're not going to have, yeah. And then I'm literally in the midst of this. And I was like, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like literally there's a child you have to take care of, and
Yeah.
it's so crazy. But I feel like if I had a child, like I feel like this all happened for a reason,
Right.
despite fertility. I feel like if we had a kid like 6 years ago, I would have just been like, man, I feel like I'm at a place where
Yeah.
I could be who I am for my daughter. And
Yeah.
so it's funny though.
Yeah, that's honestly such an amazing perspective to have, to know that for you, this was the right time. And if it happened, a few years ago when you initially wanted it to, maybe you've grown in different ways, you've become wiser, or whatever has worked for you. So that's a great perspective to have for
Yeah.
sure. What would you say is one piece of valuable advice you would give to someone who wants to get into your field? So, publishing, running a magazine.
Running magazine. Um, hmm, there's many things. Uh, I feel like, and it's a lot of the times that people say that it's like it's not about the money, which I get.
Yep.
I'm at a point where, it's really hard because I've been financing a lot of this stuff. So
Yep.
I'm not gonna say that it's not about the money. I think it's just if you're only focusing on the money, then yes, it's not gonna live very long.
Yeah.
But and I mean, it took a long time for me to get to a point where this magazine was like, this is the longest thing I've ever done. I'm very passionate about it. It doesn't feel like work
Yep.
whatsoever. It's super awesome and exciting and creative, and it's everything I've always wanted to do. Um, so, but one advice is just definitely go for it.
Yeah.
I was always kind of that person that I didn't think that I needed to have the greatest equipment, that I didn't have I need an office, I need this, I need an accountant. You don't need any of those things. You literally could just start. You
Right.
know, that's what ended up happening. I started without any background in owning a magazine, but
Yeah.
I got help along the way. You just reach out and you just be open to people who know what they're doing on things that you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
because I mean, as much as I know photography and graphic design, all that stuff, I don't know crap on writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, like, and it's just resourcing out like things that you
Yeah.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Embracing what you're good at and, delegating other people to do things that is in their skill set.
starting is the number one thing. You don't need all of the fancy stuff. That'll come later.
Yep.
It is showing up.
Yeah, I think that's incredible advice. Would you say that you have a professional mentor at all, or anyone that you sort of lean on to help you with any struggles that you're going through with your career?
Mm, I do. I feel like they're all like around, which is I'm very thankful for that. But I feel like my sister is the one. Actually, she's going to be on the cover of our next print run.
Oh, amazing.
And at first, I was like, "Oh my God, are people gonna think that I like chose her? It's like favoritism." And I was like, "No, I'm proud. I want it."
Yeah. And girl, you're the founder. You can do what you want.
Like, oh, no. And
Yeah.
oh, she's kind of like a personal development coach.
Amazing.
Um, and she has been such a great person to go to whenever I'm feeling like in doubt with myself or certain situations. I think she comes from, even though we're sisters, she has such a good, selfless, forgiving, like just very like always at a place of like trying to make it work for everybody. And I think
Yeah.
that's such a refreshing way to think of it, that everyone wins, that it's not all about taking, it's not all about, what you can get from it, but really just trying to be in the middle and being like, okay, how can we work this out? So I think it's
Absolutely.
a great way, especially with this business, and not trying to take. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
think she's a great
Absolutely.
person.
That's incredible. Do you have any advice for someone, or specifically for women, on how they can overcome challenges that they're facing in the workplace?
Um, and what kind of challenges?
Um, maybe if there's anything that you've struggled with, if there's any advice that you can give for them to overcome something maybe that you struggle with, whether it was with a past career, past industry, maybe any colleagues that you used to work with, or just a certain situation.
Hmm. Oh man, I have stories. Um, I worked at an as an intern for the Toronto Stock Exchange.
Yep.
And because I was an intern, I felt like I was treated a certain way.
Okay.
But it's funny because when you look back and you're like, yeah, I, I'm so gentle with myself now, being like, of course you were like that, and of course you want everyone to love you. Like I'm not down about it anymore because I was where I was at that
Yeah.
time. And me now, I'm like, shit, girl, you don't have to freaking, I really wanted everyone to love me and they didn't give a crap.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, Bringing in things or just really being there. And sometimes people are not going to meet you there. And that's okay. Like really just, even just showing up and trying your best and, just, I don't know. I think that was like the best thing that ever happened to me because I see that now and I'm like, I don't do that anymore. It's
Yeah.
not like nice to everyone, but I think it's like when you're at a place of like, hello, look at me, like trying to impress people and trying to be like, yeah, I'm this and stuff just to vie for their attention.
Yeah.
I think people see that as, you know, like you just have to be authentic.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's great advice to have, especially as a young person coming into the workforce. It's so easy to be a people pleaser and to change your personality or your work ways or anything like that just because you think you should be a certain way or you think people would accept you. That's great advice to give someone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. Do you have a personal quote or like a mantra that you sort of live by?
Personal quote. I feel like I said this. What's funny? Do you ever do this where you're having a conversation and then there's like an actual like aha moment that's like such a good quote and then you literally put it in your phone to
Oh
like
yeah.
I do that. You do that?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely, definitely.
yeah, like I think I was going through something and I was talking to my husband in the car and I was like, sometimes you don't have to be everything to everyone. And I was like, oh my God. Hold
Light
on.
bulb moment.
And that was I like that. Like I think once, especially being my own boss,
Yeah,
I, I think that's like the greatest mantra that I have when I'm just feeling so overwhelmed that I can't have like 20 arms and
yeah,
trying to delegate and do everything and all that stuff. I think I just come back to myself to be like, you can't be everything to everyone. And
yeah,
that's not
yeah,
wrong. So
absolutely.
yeah.
That's great. I absolutely love that, and it's very true as an entrepreneur to remember that because you already wear so many hats as an entrepreneur. And sometimes you have to be everything, whether you are your own tax person, your own marketing, PR agent, like salesperson,
Yeah.
graphic designer, all of these things. And so sometimes it's good to kind of check yourself and just be like, hold up, I actually don't have to be all of these things.
Yeah.
Work on different stages of where you're at and be okay with that.
Yeah, do what you can do and yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely. What would you say are some of your strategies to avoid burnout?
Oh, I think just allotting a time, like scheduling time where you're not doing work. I think like before the holidays, I was like, you know what? I know that there's going to be so much, but I'm not going to actually start things until January 2nd. And I think having that really helped me because it was like a boundary, right? Like I created a boundary that was doable for me and that actually just, like it helped me so much because the holidays are already so busy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I knew that if I tried to juggle everything else and start on things and you know, things that I knew I needed to get done, um, it wasn't going to be 100%. So I
Right.
think setting that boundary for yourself.
Yeah, I think boundaries are huge for sure. Especially with running your own business. It's something that is really hard to master doing that, but once you're able to start, saying no or restricting certain things or setting goals or deadlines, et cetera, as you mentioned, um, you feel a bit more relieved and a lot of weight off your shoulders after you're able to do that.
I mean, in some cultures, it's funny because I realize how there weren't any boundaries in my culture at all, which didn't even look like boundaries or didn't look like they weren't boundaries. It was like, oh, you know, like it's totally normal and it's totally like we're all used to it.
Yeah,
Being
yeah,
a big, loud, you know, Filipino family, like Italians can relate to this. Every other culture can relate to this. It's like, oh yeah, my mom didn't knock my door, you know, knock the door.
yeah,
So growing up in that, it's kind of like I was starting to just, you know, deal with that now and
yeah,
being like, you know, like, oh yeah, I could say no. I could, you know, want time for myself, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. No,
yeah,
absolutely.
for my Asian, you know, especially Asian audience, it's
Yeah,
I want you to know that it's okay to want
yeah,
space, to want, you know, create boundaries.
yeah. No, that's very, very important, I would say. What would you say a random stranger what, or sorry, let me rephrase this. What random stranger has had the biggest impact on your life?
Random stranger.
Or it
Uh,
could also be
that,
someone that maybe was a stranger and maybe now is someone that you know, or just something that has stuck with you, maybe.
hmm. I feel like I've met a lot of strangers. Oh my God, that sounds so creepy. Um, okay, so this is like a long time ago, but when I started photography, I was like, okay, how can I actually meet models? Like, where do you get models, right? Like,
Right,
do I go on
right.
the street? Do I see like a hot guy? How do I do that? And I was like 18 at the time, and I was so driven to want to do like fashion photography. And
Yeah.
I found a website called Model Mayhem, where
Oh,
it's like a social networking, like literally a Facebook for models, which is
cool.
amazing. And that was so long ago. And I went on and I had my first model, and his name was Alex, and he was from Montreal, but um, he wanted to do more fashion stuff. So we met and we instantly became friends. Like
Oh,
literally, this was a situation where it was going to be totally professional,
yeah.
totally like exchange of services and whatnot. And we were literally together for like 8 hours. Like it was
Wow.
one of those, yeah. And I don't talk to him anymore because he's in Germany living
Yeah.
his life. I have no clue. Bought a van. I have no clue what's going on. But
Oh,
he has been such. He is an amazing person. Like his outlook on life, on he was actually the person who got me. Okay, here. This is a funny story. He made an online dating profile for me because I was super shy
oh,
and
okay.
started. That is how I met my husband.
Wow. Well,
Right?
that's a huge impact then. That's incredible.
Yeah, all because I had bangs and he was like, "Girl, you need to text yourself. You need to be online." And I'm like, "What?" And he literally like didn't let me have the password because he knew I would delete it. He was like, "No, just let it ruminate. There's gonna be guys, don't worry." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what the heck is going on?"
Wow.
And I mean, obviously, it wasn't that site that I met my husband, but it was like another one, and it just opened me up to feeling comfortable and confident, and and that's how it happened. So I
Oh,
think
I love that so much. That's so cool.
so funny, and it's yeah. So yeah, so he was a stranger, and then we became best friends.
Very, very cool. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that so much. That's such a fun story. Um, what movie or book character do you feel that you're most similar to?
Movie or book character? Movie. Oh my God, I've seen so many movies that I'm like, oh, that I'm alike. I find that I'm really funny, but who's funny?
Maybe you relate to their story.
Oh my God. I love how I'm so blank, but I don't know. I have to get back on that.
That's okay. Yep, we can get back to that one. The next one again might be a bit of a thinker, but if you could broadcast one sentence to every cell phone, TV channel, and radio in the world, and have it translated in each country's language, what would the sentence say?
Oh my God. Say, you a badass.
I love it.
Tagalog in Filipino. I have no clue, but
I love it. I love it. We'll leave it at that because I think that's the most authentic. What would you say is the most embarrassing thing that you've ever done at a job?
oh my God, what was not an embarrassing thing? Like, God, I'm gonna send you screenshots. So when I was in working at a part-time job at the Toronto Centre for the Arts, so that's where Jersey Boys was playing a long
Yep.
time ago.
Yep.
So I was, yeah, so we have an actual journal where when things happen that were funny, we would write it down as like a dialogue. And I
Oh,
so many pages. Like literally when I actually finally left that job, um, I took pictures of like the best
oh
moments.
my gosh.
And looking back at it, because you know how you get Facebook memories,
Yeah.
it made me smile so much because it was the best time I've ever had. Like I will tell you. Um, I was in design school and I had a book and it was like one of those like really cool, like nice feeling felt covers. And I don't know why I had a book like that, but I had a book like that. I'm a student.
Yeah.
And there in the box office selling tickets and I'm there with like my coworkers and then we're bored because nothing's happening. And I go over and I talk to my coworker Alan and I'm like, hey, Alan, you want to feel my book? And like, and I was like, he's like, what did you say? And I'm like, you want to feel my book? And he's like, I thought you said you want to feel my butt. And I was like, no. And I literally pick up a book. I'm like, my book.
Workplace harassment. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Oh, really? My book. And I'm like flipping through the pages.
I need a photo of what that book looks like.
Yeah.
That's so
Like,
funny.
I'm going to send you all the screenshots. It's hilarious.
Oh, I love it. That's so hilarious. So what is going on for Future Female for 2020? What can we look for?
Oh my God, there's so much. So we are going with another print issue, which is awesome.
And when is it going to be launching?
And we'll be launching the first day of spring, which is March. I believe it's March 21st.
Amazing.
So that's happening, which is really cool. And we've got a great lineup of people that are on it. A lot of women that are doing so many amazing things. There's Carmelia Ray, who is a matchmaker in Toronto.
Cool.
And so we have a feature on her, and we have Allison Jor, who is a comedian who just started her own record label for female comedians. So it's
Wow, that's really cool.
which is so amazing. Yeah. So I'm doing their photo shoots on the 5th, which is so exciting. And yeah, so that's the biggest thing for Future Female. We've got some programs and events coming up that are going to, supplement the magazine, other ways that we're able to afford to be able to print more and all that stuff. And actually, a big thing that's happening is I'm actually not like a lot of things are going on already, but I'm starting a magazine with my sister.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be called Future Filipina, which
Wow.
I think, and it's going to be an online thing. So obviously, it's not going to be like so crazy and
Yeah.
all that stuff. But it's kind of her baby, and she's going to be the person who deals with a lot of the stories, which is so awesome. And I get to be a part of the creative side and help her with that. But I think
That is so cool.
yeah. I feel like a lot of Filipino women feel like they don't have a voice, that we're, stereotyped into being nurses and nannies and all that stuff. And I feel like we're more than that. We do have a voice. We're all hustling out there. And I want this to be a platform for them to feel heard. So
That is Incredible. I love that. I cannot wait for all of that.
Come in the summer.
Very, very exciting. I don't know if you knew this, but I'm actually going to the Philippines in a few weeks for my honeymoon.
Oh
So I'm
my
gonna have to dig and get some ideas or any tips if you know anything
God.
after, so we can chat a bit more about that.
Oh wow, you're gonna love it. Where are you going? Like,
We are going to Shanghai for 2 days, and then we're going to Manila, Coron, El Nido, Boracay, and Cebu.
oh my gosh, yeah.
I don't
Or
know if any of that was pronounced properly, but I just,
good. I
yeah.
couldn't either. You know, it's hilarious. I went when I was 19, and I was like, and they knew that I just couldn't. They would make, yeah. And I was like, okay. But no, it's really awesome. It's life changing.
I can't wait.
Hospitality. Everyone's gonna just, yeah.
Oh, I'm
That's
very excited.
breathtaking there.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited to share a bit more with you after when I get back too.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Yeah, very cool. So, the last question I have for you is, what is the best part about being a female?
Oh my gosh, what's the best part? I mean, in a way, it's funny because there's a lot of, not like hatred, but there's a lot of like, I'm a woman, I should be able to do this. But
Yeah,
I feel like in a way, it it's not like it's meant to be, but I feel like we're the best at pulling forward, at like really like breaking barriers. And I feel
right.
like we have this side that's super empathetic. Not to say that guys don't have that, but I feel like we just have this aura, this amazing, just like energy that we have about ourselves
Yep.
that, we pull through. We're all together, and there's like the greater commitment of being like, we're badass, and like we could
Yeah,
fight, and we want to be heard, and we want to be, successful and have everything we want, because I think that we can have everything we want despite what,
absolutely.
so yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree with you. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that. Is there anything else you want to share that you feel called to speaking about?
I feel like I've said a lot. But yeah, I'm starting keto. Is that how you say keto?
Oh,
I,
oh, no, I'm not sure. Okay.
I love how that's where I was going. Like, starting this reset.
Yeah.
So if anyone is able to write down on the comments of when Lindsay posted,
Oh,
get a conversation going.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a new lifestyle that I'm going for 2020. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely share that, and hopefully you can get some good conversation going with that.
awesome. Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah, so Future Female, next issue is coming out March 21st. Where can we find you? Where can people get copies? If you want to share a bit more about all of that.
Yeah, so we are going to be distributed in the same locations we did with the last issue, and that's in Healthy Planet stores in the GTA.
Okay.
And also, we have a lot of like small shops in the Toronto area. So everything is listed in futurefemalemag.com.
Yep.
Uh, Outsourcing more locations, but it's going to be over 20 locations, which is great. And if
Um,
you're not in those areas, you can actually access it online as well. So every time we have a print issue, it'll always be online. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Very, very cool. And where can we follow you online?
it's the same thing. So Future Female Mag is where we're at.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I'm so excited to continue to see you grow and to see what the future has for Future Female.
thank you so much. Thanks for connecting me too.
You're
I wish
welcome.
your press team.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.